You wake up in the morning, you have a plan for the day of all of the amazing things that you're going to do. You list them out. You even share them with about, 170,000 of your besties. And literally an hour later, you get a text that says, flash sale, 100 cases only available, 40 pounds of fresh, boneless, skinless chicken breast for $60, which makes out to $1.50 a pound, which is the best price I've seen in over a year. So drop everything. Let's go shopping. Hello, everybody, and welcome to SuttonsDaze. If you're new here, my name is Lisa. We are all about pantry preparedness. Part of being prepared for me is having the ability to take advantage of amazing sales when they pop up. I was very lucky. We didn't have any other appointments today. Anything that was scheduled for today can wait till tomorrow, so that's what we'll do. And we picked up 80 pounds of chicken breast. It was $120. They said I saved $300, something like that. Because right now, at this time of year in our area, chicken breast is easily $3.40 a pound. And so this is fantastic. I didn't think I'd be getting chicken now. I thought I'd have to wait until wintertime. So half of this, we are going to vacuum seal, and I'm going to show you my lovely chamber vac that I adore a whole bunch. And then the rest of it, we're going to stuff into jars, and we're going to make some ugly chicken. So I'm going to put timestamps down below so that if you're not interested in the chamber vac, that you can zip right over to the canning, because ugly chicken is life. Let's get started. First, it's time to wheel out the chamber vac. Yes, I keep this on a kitchen cart because I found it's just the easiest way to deal with it. And so it has its own personal little home. I love it. Yes, I do. And okay, now we are just going to give it a little dust because it's been sitting in there being ignored. And it says, but I want to come home. Okay, there we go. I store the cords and all of that fun stuff right inside so that I don't lose it. Because if anybody will lose it, it will be me. My 2 40-pound cases of chicken. So I got to get busy with this because they are fresh, not frozen. And there we go. Okay. And so what's nice is it comes in. Nope, this is different than what I normally get. This is all one great big bag. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. Yes, it is. The bags I'm going to use for this are from 4 Jars. You guys know I love them, right? They have 100 cut, embossed, pre-cut bags, and these will be, or should be, just the right size for 1 chicken breast. That's not going to be big enough. But we're going to test them to see if they're big enough. Because you need extra space on the top to be able to seal it, right? Let's try it out. Let's try it out. Now, as you know, I don't have an issue touching meat. I think if your hands are clean, you don't have a problem. So wash your hands. But I cut my finger on a tomato can the other day. And I keep tearing it back open again. Well, because I do stuff, Okay, so, dun-dun-dun. I got to get some of those cool black gloves, like the cool guys on the internet have. Anyway, now that we're over that, and we're going to move the chicken. Okay. That's the noise it makes when you plug it in. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, to start off with, I need a cutting board. Yes, I could do this on my counter, but chicken's already a pain in the butt to clean up after. So we're going to open the one big bag and take a look at these chickens. Look at that. Okay, you know what's nice? Hey, check that out. What's nice is these are not over-the-top chicken boobs. Yes. Okay, I don't care if we can that or not. If you put it in the jar, it is actually just fine. That is not a problem. It melts in the jar and it turns into a golden like broth. It's fantastic. But we're not canning yet. So what I need to do is to not cross-contaminate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bag and see if the chicken breast will fit in there. I'm doing 1 per bag, so obviously this size bag will not work if you're doing more than that, but that's perfect. Okay, so that worked out good because they are not Frankenboobs. So let me get a few of these bags filled up, and then we will start having some fun with the chamber vac. One of the questions that I got just recently, as a matter of fact, is how often do I have to give it a break? Here's the really cool part. Unlike your typical food saver, you don't have to give it a break. It does not require union type breaks, which is nice. You can just keep going. Okay, we're going to get these in here. This is going to be fantabulous. I have a dish pan sitting on the other end of the kitchen, and once I get these sealed, I will just pop them into the dish pan, and then I can go back before I put them in the freezer, you know, after I vacuum seal them, and I can wipe down the bags. Highly recommend that. Okay, so 1 glove is more than sufficient. 2 is a pain in the hoozy wuzzes. And I don't get rid of the fat at all, ever. It is not that big a deal. If it's something that you just can't stomach, then get rid of it. But there's no reason not to keep it. And dun-dun-dun-dun. So I have my dish pan. I have my chicken that is bagged up, right? All over. And now we are going to start vacuum sealing, or chamber vacuuming. Chamber vacuuming, okay? Because the reason I did this is 1, bulk. When I buy meat, this is how I buy meat. I buy it in bulk. I don't want to mess around with having to wait 10 minutes for the food saver to cool off. You know what I mean? So that is a big plus regarding this. 2, I can fit a lot in there. I will link you directly to the brand that I am using. But let's see. So we're going to turn it on. There we go. And I'm going to show you just how easy this is. Again, I swapped out gloves like 4 times now. This is here because I cut my finger. So let's bring you in closer. We're going to give you a bit of a bird's eye view here. Okay. And I want to show you. Okay. See those? They call them clips. They're not. They're just, well, I guess they could be. So you're going to slide the bag, only you're going to do it 2-handed, which makes it easier. Slide the bag under there. It just kind of holds it in place, if you know what I mean. And so I hit custom vac, and I took it down to 5 seconds. It's a small bag, and so it will automatically figure out the rest of it. And now it does the first 5-second countdown, and then it does 8. During that 8, it fills the bag with air. You see it puffing up, right? And then, yes, that's the super cool part right there. Super cool part. You have to wait for it to beep before you go grabbing at it. And there we have 40 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast, vacuum sealed individual breast because that's what works for us. And now I have to go make room in the freezer. I'm going to let this cool off and clean the inside of it. Just as a heads up, this bar does get very hot, but I did not have to wait even 1 second for it to cool down a little bit before I kept going. It was fantastic. Okay, I'm going to get these put away. Remember, I have a link down below in the description box below this video where you can get a discount and where I got the WeVac. It's just, I'm in love with it. I don't know what to tell you. So if you're interested, if you're in the market for something like that, definitely worth checking out. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. Next up, it's ugly chicken time, my friends. And now the fun begins. We are on the second 40 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast picked up for an awesome price. Unplanned, but needed. I can now not worry about chicken for the next year. Okay, because I typically have about 100 pints of this on my shelf at any given time. However, I was not able to find a decent price and didn't move fast enough on what was at the time the lowest price. So I got stuck, and sometimes that happens. And so I just figured I was not going to be able to, you know, stock up on chicken breast. I had a little bit of freezer chicken breasts, but I wanted more. And because I knew, I mean, pretty soon here, Phil will be back to normal as far as menu. And so I'm planning on spending some time on the grill with some chicken unkebabs, right? So boneless, skinless chicken breasts or thighs, doesn't matter. A lot of people think that the chicken breast is dry after it's canned. I don't, but some people do. So it's something that you want to be, you know, if you're particular about your chicken, then you might want to try just one, or try one of chicken breast and do one of thighs, you know, because if you can get a good price on thighs, I can never get a good price on thighs, then you're good to go. So all we have to do is have some clean jars, and it does not matter. Wide mouth, small mouth, does not matter. So I just happen to have a few cases of wide mouth sitting around, so I am doing those. You want to cut it up into about 1-inch pieces, give or take, okay? And then put it in the jar. I'm going to answer this question real quick. Why is it called ugly chicken? Because back in the day, now this has been a few years since I did it, but I did a video on canning raw packed chicken, which is what this is. This is raw packed chicken, okay? This is the easiest method for canning chicken ever, which is why I do it, because life's difficult enough. So at the time when I was doing this, a lot of people were saying that they didn't can raw packed chicken because it was so ugly in the jar. I'm like, really? So I did a video and I called them out on it. And I said, you know what? It is not supposed to be pretty. It is supposed to taste good. That's literally its whole function. If you were to buy canned chicken, always check for random bones. But if you were to buy canned chicken at the store that's in a can, just like tuna, and it was in glass instead, you would go, oh my gosh, that's so ugly. So hence the name Ugly Chicken was born, and I find it hysterical to see how many people refer to it as that now. It's very, very comical, but that's how Ugly Chicken, the name Ugly Chicken, was born. Ugly chicken is beautiful, and it tastes amazing. It is so good and so simple. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your chicken, dark meat, white meat, doesn't matter, okay? And you're going to cut it up into about 1-inch chunks, give or take, and you're going to put it in the jars. Do not smash it into the jars. That is something that I have changed since that video came out. That first video came out, is that I used to smash it into the jars. It is recommended not to smash it into the jars. So we don't do that anymore. My whole intent was that I wanted as much in there as possible, but the math on that is that it may not allow the heat to penetrate the same way, and that it may cause siphoning due to the jars being overfull. Because today, you just never know whether they inject liquid into, the meats to make them juicier and way more. Yeah, it's a practice. So anyway, you want to go to 1-inch headspace. Whoa, come here. So 1-inch headspace is that bottom ring. Right underneath it, that's your 1-inch headspace mark right there, okay? I'm sorry, I misquoted that. You're going to go to 1¼ inch headspace. So you're going to take it down just underneath that. And now I'm going to have to go through and adjust the jars. So we'll get there. The reason that they changed that a few years ago now is that if you've seen any of my other chicken canning videos, they have what I refer to as Frankenboobs. And it's because literally the one side of one side of the butterfly breast is larger than my hand, you know? They're huge. So I always call them Frankenboobs. But because of that, and because of what they're injecting, you know, whatever liquid into it, there was becoming an issue because you never knew how much liquid the chicken would actually create when you were canning. And so it would cause siphoning, and it would cause failures. And that's not fun. If you're a new canner, that is so discouraging. So discouraging. So they adjusted it. And I always get the question, well, what if I'm canning heritage breeds? Look, they're suggesting they're saying 1 1/4 inch headspace. Just do 1 1/4 inch headspace. You're not missing that much for it, okay? Because you just don't know. Anyway, so you're going to take these, you're going to chunk them up into about 1 inch pieces, and you're going to put them in the jars. Can I can chicken that has been frozen? Yes, but you must defrost it, okay? You cannot put frozen chicken into the jar. Now, for starters, the reason that you can't do that is because it will take up so much space in that jar that it's not actually getting as full as you want it to be. Waste of time, waste of space, and yeah, not good. But in addition to that, you are starting off with a frozen product, and that is not what they tested. So a frozen product will take longer to get the heat to the center of the chunks of chicken than a thawed out one, okay? So to be safe, which is what we do here, we promote safety, that is what you want to do. You want it to be unthawed, cold, you know, chilled, obviously, because if chicken sits out long enough, it's not good. It is a bacteria magnet, and so your chilled chicken going into your jars. Now, the standard rule is that if your product is hot, you want to put it into hot jars. If your product is cool, you want to put it into cool jars. It is 83 degrees outside today, okay? And I have the windows open because I refuse to turn on the air. This chicken is cool. I have no qualms about this chicken at all and its temperature. My jars are room temperature. That's fine. That's no harm, no foul, okay? But if you were to take cold chicken, put it into a hot jar, then you run a very likely risk of thermal shock. And what that will do is it will either crack and or shatter that jar. And that is no good because the food is no good, the jar is no good, and, well, it's kind of scary when that thing goes pop, you know? So you want to get them relatively close in temperature. Now, you just saw, let me try to find another one here. Okay, so these have the skin, the fat on them, right? That's not a bad thing. That's where the flavor is. That is the flavor right there. And it will also help you when you're canning the less fatty meat, the chicken breast. It will help also with the moisture as far as, you know, the canning process. Should you aim to have a whole bunch? No. No, you should not. But this little bit that's on these breasts is not a big deal. It is not a problem. It's going to add amazing flavor, and it's going to add a glorious color to the broth. It's, yeah, absolutely fantastic. So don't be afraid to put that in there. You won't even see it when we pull them out of the canner, and when you put them on your shelf, it vanishes. Whoosh, gone. It's like magic. Yes, everybody loves a little magic in the kitchen, right? So we are going to be canning pints. And the standard rule with canning is, there's an old rhyme, and I don't know the whole thing, but basically it is the pints a pound, the world around. And that's not totally accurate, but it's a really great guesstimation, okay? And especially with the new headspace, it's definitely not totally accurate. But you will get almost a pound of meat per pint jar. Now, a pound of meat for Phil and I is more than adequate, okay? And we use ugly chicken all the time on a lot of different things. I will link down below and at the end of this video a playlist on all the different things that I've made with ugly chicken. Well, not all of them, but a few that you may enjoy. And I have even made pizza crust out of ugly chicken. Yes, and it's good. It is crazy good. So If you're watching your carbs, that's a great thing to do. It is. So my canner, I am using the 4 jars canner. I've pretty much used that exclusively now for a few years. But so it's always sitting out on my canning cooktop. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Because when I do something like this, I don't want to go digging for it. And I do something like this more often than not. So I should be able to fit 18 wide mouth pints in there. Now the Prestos I love, and I have a few of them. The Presto pressure canners, if it is small mouth, will actually hold, I think, 19, and if it's wide mouth, it'll hold 18. And it depends on the canner model. It's weird. And if you have different kinds of jars in there, which is fine, you do not have to stick to one kind of jar. If you have wide mouth and regular mouth, that is just fine, my friends. Stick them in there. Know that the different size jars will impact how many you do get in there, but not significantly, like by a jar or two, you know? So again, it's not something you have to worry about. Save your worry for the things that are worth it. Okay, so we got a little bit more to go here. And then we will have the first load of jars ready to set up to put in the canner. And as soon as I am done with this, and all of the critters have decided to start being goofballs, then I will add the water to my canner and get it heating up. I don't want it super hot because the chicken's cold. And it's not going to get much warmer by the time I put the jars in the canner. But I do want to get it set up so that we are good to go. See, this, I mean, some people would use that, some people wouldn't. I do. Because I'm going to use as much of that animal that gave up its life for me as possible. I don't waste anything, and I'm not interested in making schmaltz or whatever it's called. Yeah, don't eat it. Anyway, so we are going to finish this, maybe this one and another one, and I'll have these jars topped off. And if you have any questions, save it till the end of the video because I want to answer them. I want to be able to tell you all the things. I love canning proteins so much. We lose power here if somebody blinks wrong. So for me, having a shelf-stable protein is such a sense of security and stability. I don't have to worry about anything, right? And I don't have to worry about the freezer. I don't have to worry about electricity. It makes super quick dinners, super quick lunches, you know. It just all around is fantastic. So the little bit of time that I'm going to spend on this, I gain 10 times on the other end. I think it's a great way to be prepared and to save money. I took advantage of a fantastic sale because I knew that I didn't have to stick it in the freezer. You have to understand that other 40 pounds, I debated on that for a whopping couple minutes because I'm like, do I really have the room in that freezer? Yeah, I can make room in the freezer because I haven't started pulling stuff out yet to stick in jars, which is what I'm going to be doing for a bit moving forward. And then the garden producing will have me at the canner also. So it allows you to stock up, to take advantage of those really great prices and make sure that you and yours are fed and taken care of every day or during an emergency. Doesn't matter because every day can turn into an emergency. Okay, so we have 18 pints here. I'm going to cover this back up and put the lid back on so it stays a little bit cooler while we're waiting. And we're going to get these jars set up. Okay, so now first thing first, what we're going to do is we're going to wipe off the rims. Even if you use a funnel to fill the jars, you still want to wipe the rims because a funnel does not guarantee that no kind of debris or fat or meat or anything got on there. And this also gives you a really great opportunity to double check the rims for cracks or chips or anything like that because that will cause them to fail. I use vinegar. You can use water. Totally a preference. Absolutely just a preference. So it doesn't take that long, but it saves you tons of money, because if there is anything on those rims, or if there is anything broken, it will cause a failure. And that's not what we're aiming for here. We aim for success, my friends. So some people say, well, can't I add water? Yeah, you can. But here's why I don't. I don't add liquid to the jars, because the same reason that they lowered the headspace, right? Is because you don't know how much liquid this is going to create. Now, at no time ever is the liquid created in this jar meant to cover the contents. Literally, you are only going to see liquid that is from the chicken. Just like if you were to cook it in a pan, the liquid comes out, right? It's normal. It's just what happens. So this way it's saved in there, and you can use it for your gravies. You can save it up and put it in your soups or your stews. You can pour it over the kibble for your besties, right? You can drink it if you want to. Doesn't matter. It is nothing but the liquid from the chicken. Never ever meant to cover the chicken. That is not any factor in this process. Now, I'm using 4 jars canning lids. Yes, I am. Love these lids. Have loved them now for, what, almost 5 years. Literally the only lids that I use, because they always seal for me. The few times, handful of times over 5 years that they have not sealed, it has been because of an error that I made. I missed a chip in the jar, or I didn't, I tightened the ring on too tight or something, whatever. But it has always been something that I could easily identify as, yep, that was my mistake. They have a great quality product. They have great customer service, and they have random, very good sales. And to beat all of that, if you go to their website, which is down below, 4jars.shop, and use the code SuttonsDaze, all in capitals, right? Then you save 10% off your entire purchase. And that can add up. That can definitely add up. And if they are having a sale, you can stack that sale with that coupon code too. And I appreciated it because it allows me to bring this kind of stuff to you, okay? So we have all of the lids on the jars. Now we get the rings. I do not throw out rings until I cannot screw them onto a jar. So do they have to be pristine? No, they do not, okay? If you have a pristine hammer, then you have a hammer that's not being used. If you have all pristine rings, you have rings that are not being used. It's not good. Okay, we'll put that back on there. So it does not matter as long as you can get them on the jar. That's the factor there, okay? So we're going to put it on there, and then you just turn it until it stops. That is finger tight. Turn it until it stops. Don't crank on it. Don't give it that extra push. When you put them on like this, it makes it so that the excess air in the jar can vacate during the canning process. That's important. Air in the jar is not a good thing. So you want to make sure that that is how you do it. If you put them on too tight, then when you pull the jars out, you will notice that the lids may have buckled, or they just plain flat out did not seal, okay? And that is because the pressure built up and did not allow them to do so, because they could not vacate the excess air. So that's another reason that they fail. Now, as far as the rings go, some people will tell you, oh no, you can't use rusty rings. You know what? If they're not flaking stuff off, you can. It is not an engagement ring, my friend. It is a tool. Remember that, okay? It is a tool. And so as a tool, it's going to start looking like you've used it, if you have. And that's what it should look like. Because if it's all sparkly and shiny, then it's not. Now, if you are running out of rings, who runs out of rings? But if you are running out of rings, you can buy lids and rings through 4Jars. Their rings have now something about them where they don't tarnish as quickly. Yeah. So even if you're somebody who is completely bent on putting vinegar in the water of your canner to can, it won't tarnish them as fast, which is nice, because that is what causes most of this, is vinegar in the water. Do I put vinegar in my water? I do not, okay? Because hard water stains can just as easily be washed off after you are done canning and they've cooled off. It's very easy to do. I do it all the time. I have some hard water, let me tell you. So it's not an issue unless you make it one. And if it is, then, you know, okay, fine. A cloudy jar does not mean a failed canning. It does not. So you are all good. And I know there are some people with water harder than mine. So, you know, you do you. I am not a fan of putting that extra acid in there because of the way it deteriorates my rings and other things. Okay. Whoop, that one already has one. You can only do one ring per jar in case you were curious. Yes, Lise, I know. So we're going to get the rings on all of these finger tight. And then we are going to move them over to the canner. You would think anyway, right? I learned a little something, something today. I can fit, well, check it out. I can fit, yep, okay. I can fit 17 wide mouth pints into this canner. So that's what we're going with. So what do I do with number 18? Simple, put it in the fridge. Because while this is processing, I'm going to be loading jars for the next load. And yeah, so they'll end up in the fridge so that they can stay safe while we are canning. Now we take the lid on, we turn it until it stops. It's that simple. And that's with Presto or with 4 jars. And that's a beautiful thing. Okay, we are going to give it some heat. There we go. Now we are going to let this heat up until it starts venting steam out of that right there. When it starts, you want to set a timer and a nice steady stream of steam. I'll come back and show you. You want to let it vent for 10 minutes. That's an important part of the process. It cannot build up the steam necessary in the canner to safely can if you don't let the excess air out, okay? So first we're going to bring it up. We're going to let it start venting. When it starts venting a nice good vent, then we're going to put on our timer for 10 minutes. Then we will start canning it. Because it is in pints, it will can for 75 minutes. If you want to do 1.5 jars, then that's the same as quart jars for time. That's 90 minutes. It's that simple, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We'll be back when this starts venting. You may or may not see that steady stream of steam, but it's there. So now I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. See, it vanishes. Now, I do have a trick. Please hold. I have a trick for, you can hear it, right? But you may not be able to see it because like right there and, well, there. In front of the plant, but if you can hear it, that's how you can tell, because now you know that it's hitting, okay? So that is a steady stream of steam. I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes, and then we're going to put the regulator on, and then we're going to let it get to pressure. And with my regulator, it's a weighted regulator, I wait until it starts doing a little hula dance, not a flat out jig, but a hula dance, and then I start my timer for 75 minutes. We will see you when we pull these out. Okay, my friends, so we did the whole 75 minutes and let it depressurize 100% on its own. Okay, I finally had to give up the fight and turn on the air conditioning because, oh my gosh. So we're going to open this slowly. And the cool part with the 4 jars is it kind of has a lock on the handle, so if it's not completely depressurized, it won't open. Yeah. We're just going to do this, okay? Away from us, open it away from us. We're going to let that kind of slowly introduce the somewhat cooler air, even though, honestly, yeah, we just turned the air on, so it's not that cool yet. But if you do have the air on, or if you're in a cold climate and it's a cold time of year, and you take the canner top off really quick, there's a chance that it can cause siphoning. So it is something to consider as you move forward. Okay, Now, moving that out of the way, remember everything is super duper 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 hot. And we have chicken. Yep. Okay, I'm going to right off the bat question that one. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't see any bubbling and troubling, which is weird. Huh. So I will have to take a look at that. And now we're just going to keep pulling these other ones out of the canna. There we go. See, now that one, you can see the bubbles. So bubbling is not a 100% guarantee that it will or will not seal. It's a tell to some extent. So something that you do want to notice when you pull them out, because then I know I can keep an eye on that particular jar. Yeah, that one might not seal. So I'm going to have to do some investigation tomorrow to see why. But regardless of whether it's bubbling or not, don't touch it. Just leave it alone, okay? And let it do its due for at least 8 hours. Do not mess with the rings. Do not mess with the jar. Just let it do its thing for at least 8 hours. You have 24 until you have to do something with it. Okay, now I'm going to get my tongs and get my rack out. Because when you stack them, you need to rack them. What? Yes, I know. Okay, let me bring you down here. Now you see that golden color? How gold it is? It's not just the lighting. No, it's not. That is because of that fat that's in the jar. So that's what it does. Does it make a big difference if you don't have it in there? No, it just is not golden. That's all. It's more, just a pale yellow, but it still tastes amazing because it's literally just the juice from the chicken as it cooks. Because when you are canning, that's basically all you're doing is you are cooking the chicken inside of a jar and making it shelf stable. It's magic, and I love it. Okay, so that's our first 17 pints. I have another 17 loaded up and ready to go in. I'm going to swap out the water in the canner and start it off cool because, well, the jars are cool. And then I actually have more chicken, probably a third of the box, still in the refrigerator. So I will be dealing with that tomorrow because, yeah, it's late. I'm tired. I'm done. I have the second load in, heating up, and we have a few more hours of this to do. I'll be back at it in the morning to finish the last third of it. But, 80 pounds of chicken. It's a beautiful thing. I hope that I answered some questions regarding the chamber vac and regarding ugly chicken, because it is my favorite thing ever to stick into jars. What is your favorite way to use your ugly chicken? Throw it in the comments section down below. Let's inspire those new canners to jump in and give it a try. Until next time, everybody, be safe. Keep stacking it to the rafters, my friends.